Good morning and welcome to this weekend's Brunch Club, where we toast to all the amazing, diversely faceted women out there, filling your cup with inspiration and encouragement as our guests share their personal stories, experiences with careers, family, parenting, equality, mentoring, and advice. The Brunch Club is where we raise a glass and champion female talent and leadership everywhere, and where sparkling is always encouraged. Hosted by Rachel Swoboda and brought to you from the beautiful showroom of Bixby and Ball, located in Newport Beach's Lido Marina Village. Now, here is your host, Rachel Swoboda.
Hi, I'm Rachel Swoboda and welcome to this week's Brunch Club. I am really excited to be here this week with the beautiful Scharrell Jackson.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us this morning to sit down and talk about women in business and mentoring and, just how are we all getting it done and your journey. And I think you are one of the best public speakers I have ever seen. And when I first saw you speak, I was like, I want to get to know you. And years later, here we are. And I'm just so honored to know you.
Well, thank you so much, Rachel, for having me on the show. It was great on our pre-talk before the show. And I just think this is awesome what you're doing. And I'm just overwhelmed with the opportunity to be a part of it. So thanks a lot.
Thank you. Yeah. So I have to tell you, the first time, I know you speak all the time, but the first time I saw you speak, it was at the Irvine Chamber Women of Influence event a few years ago. And you're standing up on stage, and there must have been 1,000 people there. It felt like that. The room was packed, but I felt like you were talking just to me. It was like, it didn't matter that anyone else was there. I was like, this message is for me. And you stood up there and you were like, adjusting your slip.
I remember that.
Yes. I was like, she's so authentic and real. And then you talked about domestic violence, which I'm a survivor of domestic violence. And you started talking about your kids and your career. And I was like, then after that, I was like, I have got to just find out more about you. So I think about people in our lives, and I talk about this sometimes. Everyone sort of has this personal board of directors. If you think about it, there's 4 groups of people, like cheerleaders that are going to support you no matter what, right? You've got experts that you go to for certain things. You've got connectors who know everybody. And then these mentors that you may or may not know in your life. And I started looking up to you as a mentor, whether you knew it or not.
Oh, thank you.
So
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
You're making my morning. This is awesome.
Come in for compliments, every Sunday morning.
Absolutely. And we all need them.
Oh, absolutely.
We need to receive them and we need to give them, right? Oh. So I appreciate that.
Well, you are so welcome. And so since then, right around that time, is that when you started Leadership in Heels? Or was
I started Leadership in Heels back in July of 2015.
Okay.
And it was probably after that particular event. And it's interesting because I started it basically as a result of speaking. Really? And because I speak and I've had the blessing of getting really positive response from the attendees. I had a person that I consider to be one of those people in my life that really cheerleaded me along and served as a mentor, even though she didn't know it. And she was just so encouraging. And she said, you need to start your own thing. You really need to start your own thing.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, I'll do that when I have time, right? Because, my day job, I'm in corporate and have an executive role with a lot of responsibilities. And I just thought, okay, I'll do that when I have time. And what she did was she said, all right, we'll set a date.
Oh.
So
all right, that's the trick.
Set a date. Okay, here we go.
This is going to happen. It has a deadline. There's going to be a production workback calendar.
Right.
Yes, okay.
And of course you strive to, be a person of your word.
Yeah.
So I set a date and what I felt was far enough out that I'd be able to accomplish it, and just figured, I'll invite, 20 of my friends to come together and that'll be fine. So I remember when I was young looking for a job, and if you want a job, you got to send out thousands of resumes just to maybe get 10 interviews and hopefully 2 job offers or offers, right? So I sent out a bunch of emails to my friends, and ask a buddy of mine if I could use his membership at the Pacific Club. And lo and behold, 160 people showed up.
Oh my God. To the first one.
Yeah. What in the ham and eggs? I was like,
God.
Really, Lord? So,
oh, wow.
It started from there. And from there, we've been going ever since.
That is a sign that there was a need.
There's a need.
Definitely. And every time there's a different event, there's a different theme. And that's like, well, yes, of course, I want to know more about that.
Mm-hmm.
And it sort of balances the line between business and personal.
Yes.
I feel like that's maybe that's the sweet spot for me. That's always appealing.
Mm-hmm.
Because the one that the one that's coming up next, the
one that's coming up next is Journey to the Top, the Juggling Act. And at this particular event, we're talking about your personal journey to your personal top. Now, I believe that society causes us to think that the top of our game has to be based on what our job title is, our income level. But I personally believe that everybody has their own individual top. And regardless of what that looks like for you, there's a juggling act that comes with that. You know, you have to juggle your personal life, your professional life, trying to service your community, your relationships, your husband or wife, depending on, you know, what your situation is, if you have children, and then lo and behold, if you have a job or career, and don't even think about the idea of moving from corporate to entrepreneurship, and how do you juggle that?
It's so scary.
Oh my gosh.
That was the biggest freak out for me, by the way. Oh my God. I'm like checking off these things. Everything you're mentioning, I'm like, yes. I have no idea how I juggle all of that.
Oh my gosh. And don't even talk about juggling all of the noise. When you think about social media and emails and cell phones, it's a lot. And so we're really going to be focusing on how do you juggle all of that and really stay at the top of your personal game. And more importantly, how do you juggle the overwhelming pressure that we put on ourselves and the pressure that comes from others in order to stay healthy and enjoy our lives. So it's going to be amazing.
That's going to be a good one.
You know, and I was thinking, when I think about the Juggling Act and a journey and what you're doing here and how you bring amazing people to a platform to be able to share their personal journey, it'd be awesome if you would be our woman in business at the next event.
Really?
Yes,
really,
it would
really?
be.
Oh my God, I would love to.
Okay, that'd be great. Thank you.
I would love to. I've been like wanting to be involved in some way.
Really?
Yes, it's been on my like bucket wish list.
Oh gosh, that's awesome. So we have some amazing panelists that are going to be on the panel at the event. And at each event, we highlight a woman in business. Thank you.
Yes. Good.
And then we donate
a
a portion of the proceeds to a nonprofit. And so this nonprofit of the event is Senior Serve.
Oh, fantastic.
And what we want you to do is to talk to our audience about what your business does to help us navigate through and juggle some of the responsibilities of having a business. For example, you come in helping with PR and marketing and social media and putting together things. And that would be awesome to share with the audience. And then how did you juggle moving from a corporate environment into entrepreneurship? So it'll be exciting.
It'll be nice
to tell it.
It'll be nice to talk about how I sort of like, I got brave and I did it, and then I got scared and like jumped back for a hot minute because I was like, I don't think I can do this, and then jumped back again because I was like, wait a minute, actually I can. Mm-hmm. So it's like that self-doubt, even as it was going well, like it would be an interesting story to tell. So would gladly share that. And then I want to talk maybe about how the Brunch Club is an extension of that's my company of Sunday Brunch, and using this show as a platform to maybe there's people in the room that want to come on the show, that want to tell their own story. Everyone sort of needs content for social media, or for their emails, or to build their own personal brand, and build their business. I mean, if I can provide this as a platform to people, then I'm doing something right to pay it forward.
Absolutely. And that's what it's all about.
It has to be.
As leaders, we have a responsibility to pay it forward. I
love that, because that's how I help. People helped me, and I feel like there's this group over the last few years of women. I don't know why all women. I haven't had a man work for me in a really long time. But all these women, they come out of school and they come and they work for me for a few years, and then they sort of like graduate. And there's this tribe of like dozens of women out there that are all out there doing amazing things, but they've all have in common that they started by working with me. And I feel like we help each other and we promote each other and we push each other. And I read an article last week that said women that stay close with other women in business do better over time.
Mm-hmm. It's wonderful to even be creating a legacy like that. I think that it's really important when we are navigating through our lives personally and professionally that we determine what we want our legacy to be. And what you are describing is really what I live for. I mean, my legacy is really all about leveling up individuals personally and helping people reach beyond their potential. And I think that when you create meaningful relationships where we're willing to be open and authentic and we're willing to pour into the spirit of others and then help them thrive by motivating and inspiring them to see themselves beyond where they are in that moment, I mean, that's what life is all about. And we can do that when we're running our businesses. We can do that when we're serving in our community. We can do it when we're raising our children or we're hanging out with our girlfriends. Mm-hmm. I mean, we have the power to do that. And I have a theme for my life every year.
Okay.
So
well, let's hear it.
This year, my life theme is I'm living my best life. And so living my best life means that all things around me have to cultivate and create my ability to live my best life.
Okay,
and
awesome. was last year living the life I choose?
Well, living the life I choose is my life motto.
Oh, okay.
So
all right.
I believe that life is a choice and your destiny is up to you. And therefore, I'm living the life I choose.
All right.
But every year, I have this theme.
All
and
right. Okay.
This year is I'm living my best life.
Best life.
Yeah. So I'm living my best life. And I tell you, Rachel, girl, it's amazing, but I am really living my best life. And when you set your mind
then what?
to what it is you want to do.
So it's like the 2nd of February or the first week in February.
Yeah, the 2nd. Can you believe it?
So what was the best thing in January then? I play this game with my kids. It's called high-low. And it's like, what's like your high and what was the low? We don't have to have a low, but what was the high?
You want my best thing in January?
Yeah.
January 10th was my birthday, and I went to Disneyland. And it was awesome. Oh my gosh.
Yes.
I got to see Goofy because I love Goofy.
Okay.
I wore some Minnie Mouse ears the entire time. I got on Small World and I cried.
Oh.
I was just so awesome. And I was truly living my best life.
Oh my God. It wasn't too crowded or too cold.
It wasn't. It was absolutely perfect. And it's something that I've been wanting to do and I felt like I needed to do with someone. Okay. So I have been procrastinating on doing it. And then I decided, you know what, it's my birthday and this is my year that I'm living my best life. So I'm going to Disneyland. And ironically, a really good friend ended up buying me tickets and we ended up going together. But regardless of that, I was going to Disneyland and cool. I was so glad to share the time with someone. But it was just so much fun. So that was the high of January.
I love it. Mm-hmm. Oh, good. I'm going to have to hear every month. Like in my mind, I'm thinking like, I whiteboard out, right? Like that's my thing. I whiteboard. So like I'm even thinking structurally about like you. Like, okay, she's living her best life. January was this. February is this event. March is this event. I'm like, okay, and in social media, how that would translate. Like
and I really am. I mean, it's it's interesting.
I'm mapping it out.
And I have a very high stress job.
Oh yeah.
I'm a finance and operating officer and a partner of Squar, Milner. We are one of the top 40 firms in the nation, and my responsibilities are vast. And what I've learned is that you create the relationships sometimes that you're in, because I started off giving and wanting to make a difference, and now I kind of give and overdo. And you set a standard where you're constantly chasing whether or not you're going to be good enough because the expectations are always high.
So you're competing with yourself.
And then the others are constantly expecting you to give more because that's kind of what you do. And so I really have had to counterbalance the environment that I don't have 100% control of with the environments that I do. Okay. And everything outside of my career, I have 100% control of. Yeah. So I have control of who I date. I have a control of how I interact with my family and my friends. So although my stress at the office might be like this, my stress at home is like down all the way, all-time low. And so it balances it because ultimately, I want to be healthy and
talk to me about how you do that at home, because I don't know if I quite have that yet, and maybe it's because my adorable kids who are actually behaving really beautifully over there, but when I come home, it's still way up here. Is that the trick?
It's a transition. It's a transition. I mean, I am now an empty nester.
Okay.
You know, my youngest son just went off to college. He's 19
Congratulations.
now. Thank you.
So great.
My middle son is back in school, and my eldest son is he's married.
Oh my goodness.
But we can definitely talk about what it was like when, you know, my kids were 3 boys at home and running around.
Okay. All right. Well, when we come back from our break, maybe we'll dive into the home a little bit. So, all right, we'll be right back.
All right, great.
Bedding, lighting, furniture, decor. We do it all, even the kitchen sink. Bixby & Ball offers customers a thoughtful collection of home decor and meaningful gifts for any special occasion. Bring the coastal lifestyle home with the help of our styling and design team. Let's create a timeless piece together. Visit us at one of our charming stores, conveniently located in Newport Beach, Lido Marina Village, and Solana Beach, Cedros Design District. Or shop online at bixbyandball.com.
All right. Hi. Welcome back. So when we left off, we were starting to talk about how do you balance between your very busy and stressful career, and then how do you make your house your sanctuary or a place of low stress that you can recharge and refocus, and so that you can, you know, be living your best life everywhere. So what's the trick?
So let's see. I can't say that I've always had it down, but what I can say is that my house has always been a house of peace. Okay. I don't believe in a whole lot of stress and going back and forth. You know, it's sort of my thing. I'm living my best life, and I'm not going back and forth with anybody. That's how I say it. So for me, when my boys were small, I've been a single mom for 17 years now. So I raised 3 sons by myself, this very stressful job, and love serving in the community and having relationships outside of the home. So one of the things is really choosing the things that's important to you, because what I recognize is that stress comes from relationships and how we interact. It's not necessarily the load, depending on how you're wired. You know, I'm wired for a heavy load, but I'm not wired for a lot of chaos. So I just really set boundaries with my family, with my children. We talked about the things that were important to them. Okay. You know, when I could be somewhere and when I couldn't. Made family time very important, whether it was breakfast time in the mornings when they were younger, or whether it was dinner time or Sunday brunch or Sunday dinner. We used to do a soul food supper on Sunday.
Oh, that's
so
fun.
We just stopped.
Did they help cook and like get
No, all their friends came, and it was a house full of boys.
Oh my God.
I call my son's friends the Deborah Street Boys.
Okay.
Because we always had about 10 deep of boys.
Wow.
By the way, as an empty nester, you get a raise. Because my grocery bill ran about $1,200, and when I went to Trader Joe's after my son left, it was $48.67.
What? Oh my God!
But you know, the bottom line, going back to the question, is that to create balance in your home, in your life, is that I really made a decision that I only do what I want to do.
Okay.
And so, while raising children can be difficult, I love being a mom.
Yes.
And being in a relationship can be stressful, but if the end game is to keep the relationship vibrant, then why are we doing something that would take away our light? And if the friends that I want to spend time with, and it's all about giving away the most valuable gift that I have, which is my time, why would we waste it on doing something where we can't experience time together? And so it really is setting the stage for what it is that I want for my life, and then not allowing anybody to alter it.
Okay.
And it doesn't mean that it doesn't come without issues and problems, but how it affects me is my choice. And that's where it comes from with living the life I choose. You know, I choose to make my day a great day. So whatever comes in, it's not going to disrupt my choices. It might disrupt my day, but it won't disrupt my choices.
It's going through that filter.
Exactly.
I've already decided it's going to be a great day.
I already decided. So y'all tell my kids in a minute.
Yeah. I
don't know what's happening right now, but I'm not going back and forth. No.
So the other day, and I'm going to say this because Elizabeth is here and she'll love this. We were getting ready for school the other day, and and if you remember, like the race to school before the bell, right? I mean, that's no joke. It's 8:04, and you got to get there by 8:04. So, and it was like, for some reason, getting dressed and shoes and breakfast was a surprise that day. And I was like, you are not going to turn me into a yeller. Like, I'm not going to be a yeller. I'm not. I'm just not going to do that. That's my choice. So I'm gonna get ready, and I will be in the car. You can come or you cannot, but I'm not gonna scream and yell, and I don't want to be that. I don't be that mom.
And even if you had to be, it's okay. Because let me tell you something. I raised 3 boys. There was plenty of yelling and screaming, but at the end of the day, You know, sometimes you have to do that. And even if you do, it's okay. And sometimes you have to hurt feelings. But I also had to learn that that's okay. You know, you hurt my feelings. I'm sure that I did, but I actually meant what I said. So next time, don't let it happen.
Yeah.
And then we'll be all good.
It's a balance. Yeah. And I try to get home and like stop working and give them my full attention and all of that. But, you know, like the juggling act that you were talking about, it's not just juggling the to-dos, it's juggling the noise, and it's juggling your own expectations. And so, I don't know, I'm loving what you're saying.
I would tell you this, give yourself some grace.
Thank you.
I would say that. I think that what happens is that for those of us who are high achievers, we're constantly striving and we strive to be the best that we can be. And I think that that's the most important, but recognizing that our best will never be perfect and we have to give ourselves some grace to make some mistakes. And as I've learned to do that, it's kept my stress level down. And even if I don't meet the expectation of others, as long as I know I've done my best, then I met the expectation of myself. And that has really shifted the way that I experience my life.
Yeah.
You know, I experience my life in a much more pleasant way because I like myself and I like how I live and I like how I give.
I like you too.
You know,
yeah,
thank you. I like
nice.
you too.
Oh, my dad used to say something like that to me. Like it was like when I was growing up, like if I did like on a test or a soccer game or something, you know, did you play your best? Well, then that's all you can do. All you can do is your best. Like, because I was always really hard on myself as a kid. I think it's just the way I'm wired. I don't know.
Well, I would imagine, you probably wouldn't be doing this if you weren't an overachiever. So
yeah, well.
It's all good.
Okay. Just a little. Yeah. But I like that you said that you were wired to handle a lot. Yeah. I call it having a big bucket. Mm-hmm. And people say to me sometimes, well, how do you do it all? And I was like, well, I don't know any other way. Mm-hmm. I have a big bucket and I fill it. I would not fill it. There's so much that excites me or that I am passionate about. Mm-hmm. And one of the women that works with me, her name is Krisha. She's here today too. And she said a phrase to me a couple of years ago that I've repeated over and over. She said, your job is like a hobby you get paid for. And I said, well, yeah, because I love it. And so I can't imagine not filling my bucket and doing all of these things, whether it's the interviews or working with my different clients and helping them build their brands and their businesses and being involved in the community. I feel like it's a really special time. And a lot of the people that are in this community are so amazing and fascinating people. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, being here in Orange County, I mean, we're blessed to be surrounded with giving, kind, talented, creative people. And so much opportunity. Yeah. You know, I can't say that I always loved everything that I was doing. I had to really learn to say no in some instances. I had to learn to set some boundaries because being an overdoer and an overachiever, I call it kind of over. You know, I overdo, overgive, over. And part of being able to find an ability to juggle is to set some boundaries in my life and understand the power of no without feeling guilty about the fact that I've let someone down. You know, I was a very insecure person. And when you're insecure, one of the things that you want to do is you become this pleaser. And as a result of being a pleaser, you really just want to do things for other people all the time. And I had to get to a point that, wow, I'm really built to carry a lot. I also needed to have some boundaries to make sure that I was taking care of myself. And I had to ask myself why I was always trying to be the one to do all things for all people. And so as I navigated through that by understanding the things that were in me that caused me to be wounded and caused me to be this overachiever and started to deal with those things so that I could heal, I then was able to understand the value that not only that I bring, but that I needed to have for myself, and then start to shift and set some boundaries and say no. And so now, okay, what are some of the things you said no to, if you remember?
I say no to a lot of things. For example.
Oh, yes, please.
I worked a lot, you know, and I believe you kind of create some of the relationships that you're in. So I created a relationship where I was always available to the people that I work with and I work for.
Okay.
And while I recognize that I have a role where I need to be available, I also recognize that I have a life that I have a right to enjoy.
Okay.
And so one of the things that I've had to be able to say no to is a request for something that's hijacking my day on my weekend and my time with my family that I could do on a weekday. So now I can say, yes, I have that and I'll take care of that and I'll get back to you on Monday. Whereas before, I would just naturally hijack my time from my family and my children without consideration of the impact it had on them. And when they're young, they don't even know how to articulate it. And so I had to learn that throughout, raising my children. I date, I'm single, and so I have a right to date who I want to date.
Yeah.
And for me, dating isn't necessarily, and relationships, successful relationships aren't necessarily about what you have in common. It's more about what you don't like. So now, when I'm dating someone, before I even get started, I talk about what doesn't work.
Oh.
And if it doesn't work, why bother wasting time with you when you're going to fall in love with me and I'm not going to really do it?
This is an interesting approach.
I'm not going to do that. So
okay,
if I'm not a smoker and you are, why would we even start? I don't watch a whole lot of TV and you're a couch potato. Probably not going to work.
Yeah.
I love music and you really don't.
Is there like a screener for this that you put together?
No, it's really just about keeping it real.
Okay.
It's about really being authentic, and that's something that I have found is difficult for a lot of people.
See, I'm a single mother too, and I date a little, but not all that well. I really don't.
I don't know if I do it well, but I have fun doing it.
Yeah, it's there have been times when it's been fun, and there's been times when it was like it took me a really long time to figure out that like the balance just wasn't right.
Well, I'm an old school girl, so I think that when it's right, you'll know because he'll come for you.
Oh.
And I believe that.
Are we going like Disney fairy tales here?
Is
this Prince Charming?
It's interesting because I'm this corporate girl and, everybody thinks I'm so hardcore. And don't tell nobody that,
No one's watching.
But in my personal life, I like being a girl.
I do too.
I love
really
it.
Do.
I work like a dog. I think like a man. I act like a woman. I look like a lady. But baby, I am a girl.
And at the end of the day, I want that.
Yeah, and it's all good. So there are a lot of things that I say no to. If I don't want to do something, then I gracefully opt out. And if I do, I go for it.
So wait, are you dating this guy for a long time, or is this a new guy?
I've been seeing someone really from, I guess I should say, especially if he listens to this.
Oh, okay. You don't have to.
It's okay. I don't have anything to hide. I've dated someone from my past.
Okay.
I've adored him, but it just hasn't really panned out.
Got it.
Wonderful man whom I adore, but it just hasn't panned out.
Yeah.
He didn't choose me. So it just sort of is what it is.
So I dated a guy for like a few years, and ultimately, I guess I could probably say he didn't choose me either.
Yeah, he didn't choose me. It's like it's all good. And there was a time as women that I thought it was something wrong or I needed to do this, but now I'm in a space where I'm giving everything I have, the best of me, and so. All I can say is, man, whoever he chooses, I can't wait to meet her because she's really got to be a bad broad because I'm something special. I'd love to meet her because maybe she can teach me something. But, in the meantime, I'm perfectly okay with the fact that sometimes things just don't work out and it's okay.
Yeah. I was okay with it. And I've never said a bad word about him. He's a great guy. He's an amazing person. Just not the right timing maybe, or I don't know. It just didn't work out. But, so everything happens at the right time, I think. And that, it's funny because our careers, right? We do, in our personal lives, we have, or
our business lives,
we have a certain amount of control over those, but the personal stuff is sometimes for me, it's like.
And I don't know,
trickier.
my career, is interesting. In the finance and operating role at Squar, I don't always have control of my space.
Okay.
I have a staff that I adore, and I feel I have a personal responsibility to help them level up. And then I have a partner group that I report to that expects a high level of performance from me. And my life is about what I didn't do. And so I'm constantly leveling up in order to meet the expectations of others in my professional life.
I remember one time you said, you were talking about this, and you were saying that you use certain adjectives to describe yourself when you were talking in mixed company, like, oh, well, I'm so hardworking, or I'm so smart, or I'm so dedicated, right? Like, is that part of the leveling up thing too?
You really do have to remind yourself of who you are,
Yeah.
especially when you live in a space where you're not constantly or very often affirmed.
Yeah.
And the higher that you get in your career, sometimes affirmation doesn't come as much.
Okay.
And women naturally need or want it. So I've just learned that my primary affirmation comes from God, and as long as I'm pleasing Him, I'm good.
Then you're good. Oh, okay. That's beautiful. I'm Catholic. We go to church. We do the whole thing. That's a good reminder, and I think that's probably all we have time for, and a perfect place to end.
Oh,
on a
great.
Sunday. Yeah, so everyone can kind of take those last words of wisdom and go to church.
Absolutely, they can. And thank God for all of the blessings that He's bestowed upon us.
Yeah.
And start focusing on what we have and not what we don't.
That's right.
Yeah.
Very true.
Thanks
well,
so much.
You.
I appreciate it.
And I will see you at the event.
Absolutely, you
And
will.
thank you for having me speak.
And thank you for saying yes.
Yes.
All right.
Okay. Bye.
Thanks for stopping by the Brunch Club. It's been our pleasure to share this time with you. We look forward to bringing you more sparkling inspiration next weekend. If you have feedback, topics, or want to nominate someone to be a guest on the show, please reach out to us at rachel@sundaybrunchagency.com. Cheers!
This video was brought to you by 800 Cameraman, Southern California's only 20-time National Emmy Award-winning production company.